Hey voters, I am Anthony, the internet politician, and I have a special message for Antisemites. And I shall open this discussion with a statement: believing the lies makes you ignorant. Now, unlike the last time I had a backdrop and all this fancy stuff, but I want you to see that I'm a normal guy. Actually, I'm kind of a nerd. As you can see, Transformers and Pokemon all over the place. But I wanted to go through some of the things that have been like the key buzzwords going on in the world, and I kind of want to debunk those. And I think I'll start off with space lasers. When we turn 13, we do each get one, as you can clearly see. Oh, wait. Yeah, if every Jew had a space laser, you would be unable to see space, okay? As it is, our space junk is already piling with tons of thousands of space junctions, and that space lasers adding to the... I mean, the government already doesn't want some satellites to go up there because of how big they are. They're basically solar sails. We don't have space lasers. So if you are a fan of DC's Justice League limited cartoon, you know what I'm talking about when I say space laser. I'm talking like a floating platform with like a cannon on top that can send thick beams of energy and destroy everything. Not a thing. Not a thing at all. And lasers as a technology are weak and can barely burn paper at a few feet of distance. The military uses lasers basically like a magnifying glass in the sun to force missiles to blow up early. There is like, you know that laser you use the point where you can, that is as good as you're going to get generally. You'll see companies advertising. They have the official or the unofficial lightsabers, you know, and they cut yes, from 2 to 3 feet they cut paper, and they use up a lot of juice, and you're not really supposed to have them. It's not really it's like those the flamethrowers or something. You're not really supposed to have them. Anyway, moving on. Controlling the media. Now, it's obvious, as you can tell by my collection of toys here, that I own Alphabet, the parent company of YouTube, of which you're seeing this video. Yeah, no. See, when Jews fled Europe in the early 1900s for obvious reasons, they came to New York, as new people to the United States do. And those who did not lay down roots in the eastern United States went to California. I am actually descendant from people who went to New York and said, hey, let's go to California. And they was like, yeah, Ohio's fine. We'll just stay at Ohio. But like my grandma's brother went to California. My great-grandma's cousins went to California. So film companies like MGM were established by Jewish people. I mean, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, come on. So the perceived dominance of Judaism in modern media is sort of a finders keepers case. Like, they got there first. If anybody knows anything about the movie industry in particular, Thomas Edison had it on lock on the East Coast, but people went to the West Coast to get away from him so they could do their own thing. It just happens to be that a number of those people were Jewish people. That actually leads me into the next point, which is controlling global finances. Now, I don't joke about money. Because of historical anti-Semitism, Jews were denied access to banks and other lending institutions. As a result, they were forced to create their own. So they created their own banks, and originally they only served Jewish people. But as competitive loan rates and more pleasant financial options became available, Jewish bankers opened up to anyone who needed the help. So expanding outside the communities and the financial industry at large, Jew-led companies were able to flourish. So there's still a number of countries in this world that refuse Jews any freedoms that other citizens in that country might enjoy. And even if that weren't the case, Jews are regular people and don't have superpowers. So as long as fair markets exist in a capitalistic republic as the one we live in here in the United States, everyone has the same opportunities for financial growth. This also goes part and parcel with Chinese or Asian people aren't great at, not all of them are great at math. Not all Jews are great at finance. Not all Germans are great at science. Like, all these are stereotypes, and none of them are true for everybody. If I was so great at math as a Jew, I would not be having to make YouTube videos for 3 cents a view. And I don't know if that's the actual number. I don't know where this one came from. Eating babies. Obviously, the notion is it maintains our youth. Now, I am not sure at all the root of this rumor, other than a very stupid woman who somehow got elected to a national government position who talked about it and space lasers. Like, are there really that many people who believe her rhetoric so much that they put her in office? And now she's oh my God, that's a whole nother rant. I'm just not going to get into it. We're not even going to say her name. Now, this is purely speculating. Back before modern medicine, mortality rates among newborns was actually rather high. You might go, well, women had, half dozen kids because there was a pretty good chance that a quarter to a half of them just weren't going to survive into adulthood. It was just the way it was back then. Now, before being known as bankers or media moguls or anything Jewish people are stereotyped as now, they were pretty handily in medical. They were doctors. They were nurses. And so this is, again, my running thought here is that maybe there was an area where there was a doctor, there was a Jew, and a lot of kids died, or maybe it was like during the plague, for example. And people just started saying, well, the doctors are Jewish, so, it must, they must be doing something to the babies and, drinking their blood or whatever. I don't know. Or eating the babies. I don't know. But that's my only thought, because that sounds like something from the Dark Ages. And anyway, people would then take that information, put their spin on it, pass that along, and there we go. Everybody's misinformed about something. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But there you go. Now, there are barely over 15 million Jews on Earth as of this year, which is 2022. The number is primarily shared between the United States and Israel-Palestine, the bulk of which are there, but the remainder is spread out through Europe primarily. That is 1/5 of 1% of Earth's 8 billion population. It is such a small number that it isn't even a single percentage. That is how small the Jewish population is on this planet. Now, the reason that Jews get the blame for so many of the ills of man is because there are so few. People historically have seen Jews as scapegoats because there was so few of them that a Jewish person could do nothing about it. For example, the Inquisition was used to remove Jews from Catholic lands. Or let's do something a little bit more modern. During the famine and depression in Europe, the Jews were blamed for it. Then that led into the 1920s and 30s, and you see where I'm going. It contributed to the rise of Nazi Party in Germany. So people were like, well, let's get rid of the Jews, and then because it's the Nazis' platform, that bolstered them to power. Blaming an insignificant group of people for a national or global crisis makes no sense. I kind of want to say some of the stuff about like the flus, because we go through like a major, some type epidemic, pandemic, whatever. Seems like more frequently every decade now. And there's always some small group of people who did it, and it's rarely ever actually true. So here is an example, because I do sometimes want to make these light. Let's say I eat Taco Bell today, which I actually did, and I pass gas and 2 people die tomorrow. Does that make it my fault? Now, anti-Semitism, let alone any racism, makes no sense. It is all built on unsubstantiated stereotypes, misinformation, and rumors. If you have the smallest inkling that some information passed on to you sounds wrong, do not continue to spread it. Ask your local Jew. There is actually an episode of Family Guy called A Wish Upon a Weinstein. It is a whole bunch of wrong, but Jewish people generally will answer your questions. Typically, like, you can hit up the local rabbi at the local synagogue or whatever. Always happy to answer. But I want to end with this note. A while back, I got a new neighbor who was from Detroit, Michigan. He's in his 30s. Well, now he's in his early 40s, but he was in his 30s back then. He had never met a Jewish person before he moved next door to me. He asked his questions, and I answered them. He still lives next door after all of these years. So obviously, whatever questions were in his mind were answered. He didn't feel uncomfortable anymore. We talk on occasion. When it's nice outside, we'll walk to one guy's porch to the other porch because our porches face each other. It is a normal thing. As I said, we don't have superpowers. We're not any more gifted than any other party. It's one of those things where I feel like I need to reinforce the treat people as individuals, not as their group. I don't go around bashing Palestinians because they keep throwing what do they call those? The sort of Russian word, bombing into Israel or whatever. That's stupid. Why would I do that? Also, I don't agree it's Zionism at all. I think that's a stupid thing, but that's a whole nother story. I also don't agree with how Israel was established. That is a whole bunch of white guilt trying to fix the situation that they probably should have not necessarily done in the way they did. But that, again, is a whole nother video. Whew. And like, I could go on for hours about things I dislike about people when they think they're doing good things for Jews or bad things to Jews. But with that said, and that is definitely not all I have on my mind, but for this particular topic, it is for now. If you have any thoughts about this discussion, please post a comment. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Again, if you have questions, I will answer them. If you've never seen a Jew before, and I feel like if you've watched TV, you probably have, but if you've never had an opportunity to ask one a question, ask a question. Thanks for watching.